Tonight, our memo is simply titled, "Enough is Enough." No one knows for sure whether the country will hold together or break apart if the planned demonstrations go ahead starting Wednesday through to Friday. What is clear, though, is that more than 50 million Kenyans are literally at the mercy of two men, President William Ruto and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Their words alone could determine if the country goes the way of other failed nations or if the formation called Kenya, and which millions call their only home, pulls back from the brink. As the Nation Media Group, and on behalf of Kenyans from all walks of life and political persuasions, we want to tell our political class in no uncertain terms that enough is enough. Enough of the chest thumping, enough of the brinkmanship, enough of the rubble rousing, enough of the supremacy contest, enough of the grandstanding. Dr. Ruto and Mr. Odinga, tonight we serve you this reminder. This country is bigger than both of you. You must climb down from your high horses and do the right thing, which is to restore peace and harmony in the country. More than 14 million Kenyans turned out to vote in the 9th August 2022 general election and later peacefully dispersed to their homes. That nearly 1 year later, the two of you are still trading venomous words publicly is a show of an appalling leadership failure. Both of you know each other well. You have each other's telephone contacts. It is time you swallowed your pride and made the call to save our country. To be honest, at this point, it does not matter who has the legal or moral high ground. The bloodshed by the nearly 20 Kenyans who have died in these recent weeks, and many before them who lost their lives while seeking to liberate this country, must be enough to prick your moral conscience. The opposition, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance coalition party, has repeatedly promised to hold peaceful demonstrations, but all protests have so far ended in deaths, mayhem, and widespread destruction of property. There is no plausible evidence to suggest that the 3-day anti-government protests beginning on Wednesday will be any different. There is sufficient reason, though, to fear that they will be even more deadly, going by the tone of vitriol spewed across the political aisle. Of course, it is within the rights of the Azimio coalition to assemble, picket, and hold demonstrations. But this right has been habitually exercised devoid of the legal responsibility that comes with it, that of observing and upholding the peace. It is time for you, Raila Odinga, to admit that the protests strategy is only delivering more harm than good to the people on whose behalf you claim to speak. It is time for Azimio to go back to the political drawing board for another strategy and let the ordinary Kenyan who is only out to eke out an honest living breathe. On the other hand, it is a fact that the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, declared William Ruto the duly elected president, and the Supreme Court subsequently upheld this win. The president and his political backers have the right to remind all and sundry that they won the elections and should be allowed to govern for 5 years before another poll, as contemplated by the Constitution. But this assertion rings hollow if Kenya slides into civil strife, as it so nearly did after the contested 2007 general election. The Ruto government, especially as represented by the National Police Service, over which he exercises overall command, has failed miserably in its duty to protect lives and property during the said anti-government protests. The country is thus faced with a lose-lose situation, and it is time for reason to prevail. Raila Odinga may have an army of die-hard followers, but that does not give him a carte blanche to cause anarchy and make this country ungovernable. President Ruto may have won the presidential vote, but he did not win the right to lord it over Kenyans. It is time to listen to the many voices, including those of religious leaders and private business leaders, calling for broad-based dialogue. President Ruto and Raila Odinga must unite the country and desist from beating war drums and pushing us into a crisis. Kenyans are suffering. Kenyans are battling the bruising economic times. Kenyans are tired. Stop riding on their exhaustion and exasperation to score your political points. Nurse your egos and prove points that mean much, much less than the lives you are expected to steward. Enough is enough.